And welcome into another edition of the UC Davis Health Zoomcast. We're so glad to be with you. Hope you're staying very safe and healthy. Our second installment, it was great to hear from Dr. David Lubarsky on our last episode. Hope you enjoyed that. We've got another great guest for you today as we try and keep you as best informed as we can about what's going on with everything in the world of UC Davis athletics. Today, I'm joined by the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, Tom Wistrcill. Tom, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. How are you doing back in Utah? How are you guys holding up back there?
Things are going about as well as could be expected, Scott. It's the same everywhere, right? People managing their personal lives, professional lives, and hoping for a better day ahead. Obviously, we all hope we're in a different place when we flip the calendar to 21, but nonetheless, we look ahead and don't look behind.
Absolutely. You've been the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference for 2 years, and you just recently signed another extension to be on for another 2 years. So congratulations on that. I know that's a terrific honor for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the presidents are wonderful in our conference, and we had a nice discussion, able to put a 2-year extension. So I'm back on for a new 5-year deal now, and excited to be part of the Big Sky. It's a great conference. Great people, coaches, student athletes, and I feel very fortunate to be the leader.
Absolutely. We look forward to talking about where the Big Sky is heading, but obviously 2020 and so far in 2021 has been marked with having to deal with COVID and how it's affected college athletics. And you being a commissioner of a conference like the Big Sky, it's obviously been the overreaching issue for you these past 10 months. Talk about how you've been able to deal with it and the conference as a whole.
Yeah, quite frankly, it's been very difficult for everybody. And, obviously anyone watching or listening to this, it's been difficult for them too. And, for us in college athletics, it's, I think the frustrating part has been we've spent a lot of time in these last 9-10 months working plans that literally led to nothing. And, you had to start over so many times. I know when we canceled the rest of our basketball championship and then our spring sports back in March, we never envisioned that this would affect the fall of 2020. We thought, by the time football season comes rolling around, we'll be ready to go. And so we worked really hard towards that, and then that didn't happen. And so, quite frankly, we've had great discussions. There's been some positive pieces to it. But the bottom line is we haven't been able to pull off college athletics like we would. And that's impacted everything. It's impacted our campuses, our communities, certainly our student athletes and coaches and staff. So it's been difficult. But, like I said, we're going to look ahead to a brighter future. We've turned the calendar. We're going to focus in on hopefully finishing out the winter and spring sports here in 21. And then by the time the fall rolls around, hopefully we're back to 100% then.
Absolutely. We're going to get into football because there is a football season upcoming too that everybody's looking forward to later in February and March. But I do want to commend you. You mentioned student athlete, and I know that's been such a major focus for you in terms of all the programs that you've wanted to put together with student athletes and getting out there and talking to them, specifically being really in tune with their mental health needs and awareness there. And I can't think of a time that's been more in need than right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Scott. I mean, when you think about it, we were all that age once, right? 18 to 22, going through so many life changes and challenges. And then you put a pandemic on top of that, and it's just increased the difficulty tenfold for these young people. And so many of our young people, not only do they love the sport they play in, but it's kind of their identity, and it provides to them their team and their friends, leadership through coaches, through their academic advisors. And so now all of a sudden that's turned upside down. And now, speaking like for our basketball teams, they're trying to play basketball, getting tested every day or every other day. And, with the possibility that one positive could wipe out the whole team. So, there's a lot of stress on top of that. So, nonetheless, we've pressed ahead. We've really focused in on trying to spend extra time with our student athletes. Even at the conference level, we've continued to do what we've called captain's huddles, where we'll get, for example, with football, we'll get 2 players from every football team and we'll get them on a Zoom. And it's a pretty decent sized group, but we talk about things like not only the football schedule coming up and what spring football is going to look like, but how are they handling the pandemic? How are they handling academics? How are they handling not necessarily being around their teammates as much as they would like? Or there's, the social part of being a college student so different. So, we've decided we're going to take these things head on. We're not going to hide behind the fact that it's difficult. And we're going to try to have difficult conversations and see what comes out of it. But we just think that's really important for our student athletes because, like I said, their world's been turned upside down, and we certainly owe it to them to try to find a better place for them.
For sure. They deserve to be commended for everything that they've had to sacrifice to go through this. And, I can't imagine what it would be like trying to go to school. I can't imagine what it's like to be 18 or 19 or 20 years old right now. But to be in that circumstance back when I was that age, I can't even imagine what it would be like to try and live in those circumstances without being able to get together with a group of friends and do all the things that you're supposed to be doing at that age, Tom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really difficult. I have a son who's 20 and a son who's 17. One's a junior in college, one's a junior in high school, and just kind of seeing what they're going through, trying to manage it. It's been really difficult, and so I know that's the case for all those young adults that are that age, and that's why we have to be, I think, so much more intentional about the communication that we're having with all of them. And, it's one of those things that oftentimes people don't speak up when they need help. And so we have to continue to keep asking them that question. How can we be helpful in their journey?
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate all the efforts you're making on behalf of all the student athletes there. Again, this is our second installment of the UC Davis Health Zoomcast. UC Davis Health, now's the perfect time to make sure you have UC Davis Healthcare and world-class specialty care. 18 clinics across the region, from Davis to Folsom and Auburn to Elk Grove. Learn how our doctors can support you at health.ucdavis.edu/Aggies. All right, let's talk football now. Obviously, the fall campaign had to be moved back, but we do have a slate of games scheduled for late February. Walk us up the process from fall to where we're at now and what you anticipate moving forward for football.
Yeah, so, as I said, we spent the spring and the summer really focused on how we were going to play football in the fall. As we got closer to that date where our players would have had to report in early August, we just saw that we hadn't had enough changes in the virus. Obviously, a vaccine was still months away, and we just didn't see a very safe and healthy way for us to play football in the fall. So fortunately, we have great communication around all the FCS conferences around the country, and we worked with them, on a daily basis at some point there to decide, let's see if we can move this entire season to the spring. Obviously, unprecedented times call for unprecedented decisions, and we were able to move the entire FCS calendar to the spring. So with that were a couple things. We had to figure out what to do with the fall. We lost any of our FBS guarantee games, and so that's a financial hit for some of our institutions. And then we had some institutions across the country, including Sac State, right by you guys there, that opted out, that said, we're not going to play football this year. We're just going to have kind of an enhanced spring. But nonetheless, we've pressed on. Our schools have done a really good job establishing testing protocols. And now that we've turned the calendar into January, we feel good about the fact that, in about 7 weeks, we're going to be playing football along with the rest of the country in FCS. So everybody was making decisions about how many games to play. Some conferences are playing 8 games with some non-conference games. We decided we're just going to play 6 games spread out over 8 weeks. We're going to build in a bye week, 2 of those, one in the middle and one at the end for any makeup games that we need. And then we're hopeful to send a few teams, certainly our automatic qualifier, but hopefully some other teams into the playoffs. There will still be a FCS championship game in mid-May down in Frisco, Texas, and hopefully we'll have some good luck in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But, it's full speed ahead right now, and I'm really excited about seeing some football here in a couple months.
Yeah, I think everybody is. In just a few weeks, a lot of teams will open up their training camp in preparation for what's going on. Can you explain to us, with the reduced conference schedule, how a conference champion will be determined in terms of that automatic bid, and explain the playoffs, because it will be a little bit reduced from what we've seen from the normal 2014 tournament?
Yeah, exactly. So, a couple things going on there. Lots of discussion about how we're going to establish our automatic qualifier. We do have tiebreakers in place to do that, and we'll spend some time making sure we've got all those in place here over the next 6 weeks. But we feel good about the way it looks right now. We've had many tiebreakers in the past. Recently, a couple years ago, we had a three-way tie. So, as you know, that happens, and we'll find a way to do that. The tournament did get reduced from 24 teams down to 16. So a couple of changes. The MEAC decided they're not going to play their Celebration Bowl this year, so they wanted to participate as well in the championship. So there's 11 AQs. That only leaves room for 5 at-large bids for football. So that'll make it a little more difficult for everyone, especially a conference as strong as ours in football. It probably is going to end up having 3 or 4 teams that are deserving of a playoff spot. We'll be, we'll hopefully get 2 in. We'd be really lucky to get 3. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out, because with such limited non-conference play, there's not much of a chance for you to prove that you're better than another conference this year. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But again, yeah, reduced field. It'll be settled in mid-April with the championship game in mid-May. And the season will go by fast, because it's only 6 games for us. But the great thing is, without the eligibility, now that the eligibility waiver was given, it doesn't count against any of the student athletes that are playing football. So if they're sophomores this spring, they'll be sophomores again in the fall. And so I think our coaches and student athletes have an opportunity to really use this to better themselves for the future.
Yeah, that was the only fair way to do it for the student athletes. And I'm glad that the NC2A did do that. And, college football is already known as, every week counts. Well, certainly this spring, there will be no truer statement than that. Every game literally will count.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It'll be fun. I mean, it'll be, very meaningful. When you think about it, like you said, there's only 6 times to prove to either to win the conference AQ or to prove to a committee that you're one of the few teams, one of the 5 in the country that deserve an at-large bid. So yeah, schools like Davis that'll be having some, as I saw, some coaching changes on the offensive side of the ball. We'll have to step up and get ready from game 1 because the clock will be ticking.
Yeah, we're very sad to see Tim Plow leave the Boise State. Very happy for him. It's a great, great promotion for him to be the OC at Boise State. We're sad to see him leave Davis, but we will have the Hawk attack in full force now at UC Davis.
Yeah, Coach Hawk continues to spread those wings around the country. So it's good to see Boise pulling back a little bit of what he did up there.
Absolutely. We talked with Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference. This is brought to you by UC Davis Health. UC Davis Health connects Aggies to world-class care from experts in adult and pediatric medicine, the specialists who support your active lifestyle. You'll always have a partner in your care. Find your doctor today at health.ucdavis.edu/Aggies. Commissioner, let's talk about just Big Sky football in general. Obviously, you took over a couple of years ago, and you knew how good this conference was at the FCS level. You had been at Akron. You had been involved with the FBS. Just talk to us about your couple of years with this level of football, being at the Big Sky, where it's been and where you see it going.
Yeah, no, I've been extremely fortunate to be a part of the Big Sky and the strength that we do have in football. And I'm a football guy. My dad coached football for 30 years. I didn't play it in college, played it in high school, but, have been around, high-level football my entire life. And, the great thing about the Big Sky is, our recruiting network is so wide out west here that, you have some players who, potentially would go play in the Pac-12, potentially play in the Mountain West, and they're choosing to come play in the Big Sky. And that just tells you the level of football that we have. You look at the NFL rosters, look at the number of players from the Big Sky that are playing in the playoffs still. And it's just so impressive to think that that's what you get at the FCS level. And, I can tell you, I spent, 6 years as an AD at the FBS level in a group of 5. And there's virtually no difference in the strength of the programs, maybe depth-wise because of scholarship numbers. There might be minor differences, but that frontline personnel And we see it before when we've had teams that have been able to compete and beat those FBS teams. The strength of our programs is tremendous. And that credit goes to our coaches. I think we have an awesome group of head coaches in the league who have won national titles, who have won Super Bowls, who have taken teams to the FBS championships. We're just very fortunate to have a group of coaches that are experienced. They're good people. They care about the student athletes. They care about the right things. And that's how you have a strong conference, is you have people that are doing it the right way, that care about the right things. They recruit good people, and they're able to coach up good football teams. That's why there's no layups in the league. I mean, no matter where you go, you hop on a plane, you're going somewhere, you're playing really good teams on the road in difficult places to play, sometimes at high elevations, sometimes in freezing cold weather, sometimes it's hot. Who knows what you're getting when you hop on the road, but there are no easy games. And so it's been really fun for me to be a part of it and to continue to find ways to help promote our great coaches and great student athletes.
Yeah, no question about that. And personally, I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan. I'm an LA transplant to Northern California. So, in the playoff game last week, watching Cooper Kupp make big plays, Simba Webster on special teams, Ebukam on defense, all Eastern Washington guys just making big plays. And that goes around all the programs. We're so proud of Keelan Dawson, where he's been with the Raiders, and you can go on with players throughout the Big Sky Conference. Where do you see the conference moving, or do you? What are you hoping for the next 2 to 5 years of your tenure here as Big Sky Commissioner with football?
Yeah, so that essentially one of the biggest things that I see is we have to continue to find ways to deliver our product to a broader audience. So we're deep in the midst of media rights negotiations and research and discussions with various media entities all over the country to figure out ways to continue to get Big Sky Sports into households and handheld devices and all the ways that people consume content now. So that's a big push of what we're doing. Like I talked about, that's how we can promote what we're doing, promote our student athletes and our coaches, and give people an opportunity to see our great product. Yeah, it's also about money as well. We want to generate more revenue. We need to be a revenue stream for our schools, needs to be our conference media rights. So we do it in a small way right now. We have to find a bigger way to return some dollars back to our campuses who are investing so much in intercollegiate athletics. So it's twofold. Like I said, it's exposure and it's money. So it needs to be both. And like I said, we're spending a lot of time on that right now. We've also, created a Big Sky Hall of Fame, and another way for us to draw attention to the great people of the past. And we want to, continue to honor the great reputation we have and the strength that you've talked about, Scott, and have the opportunity to do that. We also really want to, and we've touched a little bit on this, but we really want to look at our student athlete programming and try to figure out some ways we can better them. We've created something called Big Sky U. And essentially it is a program that is for student athletes that want to become coaches. It's for administrators that want to become ADs. It's for assistant coaches that want to become head coaches. And it's for other administrators in athletics that want to advance their careers and their futures in different areas. So essentially, we're going to use what we have, which are presidents, ADs, head coaches, as kind of the faculty members of Big Sky U. And they're going to talk to the students in this case, whether they be assistant ADs that want to be ADs, about how they got on their path and where they need to work to get better to achieve their goals. And so for us, it's about bringing value to each of our member institutions, our administrators, our coaches as well. And this is a way to do that, to help them get better. I'm not aware of anything else like this in the country that's conference driven. And I think this is something that could be really cool. And we want to focus that certainly on minorities and women. But it's about bringing the entire conference together and elevating people on their journey. So those are the types of things that we're really focused in on, especially during this strange time of COVID. We're not bringing cohorts together. We're not bringing people to to the Big Sky offices for meetings. So we have to continue to find ways to get inside our athletic departments and provide value. And those are some of the ways we feel we can do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I know you have those big, beautiful new offices back in Utah there. You haven't had a chance to really show them off like you would like at the moment, but I know one day you will.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've had, let's say, maybe one president's meeting. We did have a head football coaches meeting there back in February, I believe. And so, and then since COVID, a few of us have been back 2-3 days a week. Other than that, just like everybody else, kind of working from home. And, like I said, though, the most positive thing that's come of this, because you always try to find the positives, right?
Absolutely.
The most positive thing that's come of this is, our presidents would typically talk in a normal year. We'd probably see each other at twice, but maybe 3 times in a meeting. Other than that, it would just be some phone conversations here and there. ADs, probably 4 times a year. Our presidents have seen each other once, twice a month for 10 months, ADs twice weekly for 10 months. So we've developed this really deep relationship and this camaraderie amongst the conference of dealing with these difficult situations. But I'll tell you what, that's really strengthened us as a league. And I'm really proud of that, that in spite of this horrible pandemic and this upside down world we live in, and that we've been able to get closer together to have real conversations about things that we feel that can impact our programs and coaches and student athletes and our fans as well. And so, again, you look for a silver lining, and that's one of them, at least in this instance.
You can always find a blessing if you look for it, and that certainly is a good one as we wrap up our conversation here with Tom. And again, it's brought to you by UC Davis Health. If you're looking for ways to optimize your performance, stay healthy, and prevent injuries, then put UC Davis Health sports medicine experts on your team. Learn more about their specialty care at health.ucdavis.edu/Aggies. Tom, just finally, just give us your landscape of college football overall as you look at it between FBS and FCS and everything at the Division I level. I'd be curious to get your insights on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting time. I think the thing that there's a couple things that we have going for us is people love college football across the country. It is such a strong brand. Behind the NFL, I would argue it's the strongest brand. And people love their university. They love college football. There's a couple things that concern me. One is the transfer situation.
Yeah.
And, it is, I just feel so bad for our coaches at every level trying to manage the transfers. Basically, if I'm not starting, then I'm leaving. And I don't like that. I don't like it for our schools. I don't like it for our coaches. And I think for our student athletes, it gives them too easy an out, that they don't have to fight for something that they really want to do. So I don't like that. I'm also really concerned about how we're going to solve this name, image, and likeness issue, and how we're going to keep it out of the recruiting landscape. I'm really concerned about the opportunity that it presents to kind of buy players, because you can offer them a chance to sponsor a car dealership or something like that. So there's a lot in the future that has me concerned, but we've had big changes before. We've weathered the storm. I think we'll weather it as well. And I'm hopeful for a better future. But I love college football. I'm so glad we're going to have it this spring. And, it's almost year-round here in 21. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to. We have a lot to look forward to, Tom. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing with our people out here at UC Davis Land who really want to know what's going on. Thanks for giving us all the information.
Yeah, really enjoyed it, Scott. Happy New Year to you and to the Aggie fans. Look forward to seeing you at a game soon.
Absolutely. We'll make that happen, Tom. All right. That's been Tom Wistrcill. He's the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference. Thank you for joining another edition of the UC Davis Health Zoomcast. We'll be back with more great guests in the near future. As always, go Aggies.